It's the World Series of Sim Racing here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
No contact.
And some contact. Holds on for now as Vincent Sora. Colley's going to be able to hold on. 3 wide, 2 wide. Ryan Bird trying to be the hero. He'll door smack once again in the center of the corner. Figure out how to get out of the way. Vinny breaks him. He breaks him across the line. The 15 wins. One last chance. One last opportunity. He's digging. He's climbing. He's right on the bumper. Blocking going to be made. Will there be contact? Here comes Thompson. Check on the outside. We're going to be blocked, defended. Brian Johnson hoping it will win. Here comes Vincent Sword to the inside, but it's not enough. Brian Johnson wins, and it's going to be the 13th trying his best. He'll hold on, or will he cross the line? It's Cedric Hunter by a nose. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Hopefully you enjoyed your week. I know the drivers are happy to step away after last week's historic Martinsville run, having the most cautions ever thrown in WSSR history. But tonight, expected to have no cautions thrown if the racing allows it to happen, as we're heading to the streets of Long Beach for the drivers to test out some California street course racing on a track that NASCAR does not go to. The drivers, some have minimal experience at, and tonight it's going to be a new experience for us, but I think it's going to be a fun one overall. A lot of drivers have been practicing a lot here this evening, and we have over 40 drivers expected to be hitting the course here tonight. I know everyone's been trying their best to hit every mark possible, but we're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Going to be joining me up in the booth later on is Robert Moyer Jr., as Justin Malarkey not able to be joining with us here tonight. But overall, this evening is going to be a fun race. We have 44 laps of great racing action. Drivers are expected to have one pit stop here tonight, and as well, there will be no fast repairs, and the stage break will be at the end of lap 15. Top 10 drivers get stage bonus points, and for tonight's race, those bonus points might not be as important as some may think, as later on in the season, those points could be so crucial. But I know, looking at how practice has been ran so far, it's been Gavin Rogers with the dominant speed, almost a full second faster than everyone else. But I think that quick speed might be a little bit deceiving. It seems like the long run drivers are a lot closer on pace. I think that's what we're expecting to see overall. But with over 40 drivers here tonight, expecting a lot of different strategies, expecting only, again, one pit stop this evening. I know one thing some drivers have been practicing with is how to practice the off-axis roads. There are some certain points where there are some very high-speed corners that come into a hard braking zone where drivers may have to go off course for a quick second and how to turn around quickly, as we have ourselves less than 2 minutes, got a minute and a half left in practice for tonight's race. Again, 44 laps in total, coming off of Martinsville last week where we ran 209 laps. It was certainly a long race for the drivers. The last two races really have been very long for this season. On the way the cautions have been, a tough track at Legacy, Texas 2 weeks ago, and then last week at Martinsville. Tonight, I think for the drivers, they're just excited to get into green flag racing. Now, how everyone's going to play nice with one another is going to be the true question, because talking about different strategies we're going to be seeing here tonight, might be seeing the strategy calls of some drivers not even taking the grid at the start of this race. Some may be starting in pit road. Others might be thinking about, when do you want to come into pit road later on in this race? Again, the hard decision. Do you pit early or later in the run? Because you're able to run about 30 to around 35 laps on fuel. And with this race only being 44 laps, that is going to be a quick stop the drivers have to handle. Also, with the next gen car, the talking point of tires or no tires. We've seen since the next gen's been on iRacing, it's been a lot of talking points on you really don't want to take tires. This car loves heat in the tires to stay on the track and actually run faster lap times longer into a run, while other drivers feel like because of how long this race is going to be, might want some tires to try to find the balance between that heat cycle and a maximum amount of grip. But we are excited to give you all the coverage again here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as practicing is concluding. We are heading into qualifying. Now, qualifying for these drivers is going to be a little bit longer than what they've dealt with before at the 1.5-mile tracks and oval courses. They only get 5 minutes to put down their fastest time and only 2 laps to do so. With road courses, though, we doubled the time because the tracks are so much bigger and the lap time slightly longer. These drivers will have now 10 minutes to try to put down their fastest lap, but they're only given 2 laps to do so. So we'll see if that changes anything here tonight. As you can see, the outside of Southern California here at Long Beach, the sights of this track. We're going to be talking a lot of big points. There's going to be the fountain corner. There's going to be the hairpin corner. There's going to be tight, high-speed markers. And there's also going to be spots where these drivers are going to have to figure out the gear ratios that they're going to feel the most comfortable with as we are entering into qualifying. Some of the fast drivers, again, to watch out for. Gavin Rogers is the driver to watch out for. This 75 has been quick, fast. And we bring in Robert Moyer Jr. with us. Robert, I know being in the booth isn't the most comfortable thing to do, producing and commentating, but road course racing on a brand new track, it's kind of exciting to get to see what these drivers have brought out for this season.
That it is, Sam, and I'm actually I've been excited. You know, the hype has been really, going on since it was announced, during the schedule, and we seen it before we started the season, and we went, wait, Long Beach? Okay, and all the drivers were like, oh, okay, and so the hype's been really building up to this race. So yeah, it's not going to be too hard. Commentating and producing. We're going to have a good time here tonight, Sam, but I'm just excited to see how this race turns out.
Yeah, I originally scheduled this race is not supposed to have any cautions pop up, and we'll see the only times that we could be seeing a caution is on the first handful of laps because of the chance that you saw there. Gavin Rogers taking a much wider approach through the hairpin corner. That corner, we could be seeing a lot of trouble before we even start the race. And as Gavin Rogers is starting lap number 1 for himself, this first corner also going to be a very troublesome spot with everyone being so clustered on top of one another. They're going to be going full speed into turn 1, where we can see some major mistakes. You saw there, I mean, just going through turn 1, very narrow. Then we find ourselves going through the wide sweeping corners of the fountain as we head down into these first couple of corners. Corner number 4, these drivers are entering then into turn number 5, where we find ourselves onto the West Shoreline Drive, heading to turn 6 and 7 is Gavin Rogers currently. But the lap times we were seeing, about 1 minute and 22 to 23 seconds was the average for a lot of the top end field. Gavin Rogers, the only driver in practice to run a 1 minute 21 second time. I'm expecting very fast things. We've seen this driver before, Robert, in other leagues that we've covered. Gavin Rogers is just so fast at road courses.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's, like you said, we've seen him in other places and running like Chicago, street and all that stuff. And yeah, he's just playing down fast at road courses. And, right here coming out of this turn, that's going to be the main one that I'm going to be looking at here tonight. But, he's also we got a lot of road ringers that are showing up here tonight. We got Nick Crawford, we got Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, and Vincent Sora. I mean, the list goes on and on. As right now, Gavin Rogers is going to put down a 1:22.189 for right now being on the pole there, Sam.
And based off how practice was running, that would have been the second fastest time. Going to be just behind Gavin Rogers' fastest time that he put during practice. I think he brought up some good names to watch out for. Second place runner right now, Vincent Sora, going to be a fast driver to watch out for. I also heard watch out for the 70 machine of Aaron Smith II. We've seen him also in the past in WSSR be quick in this machine at past road courses. I think back to when WSSR tried to attempt to race at the road course of Twin Ring Motegi. That was a fun race where Vincent Sir also had his own troubles, but getting involved with a wreck with a lap car. But seeing these drivers that we don't traditionally see here on WSSR, some being rookies, others being kind of part-timers, they always seem to really show out at the road courses, as Gavin Rogers is doing so. Again, still the pole time with a 1 minute 22.189 second time. Other fast driver to watch out for. Second fastest during practice, Zach Hall, as he's going to be starting up and trying to find some maximum speed under his second lap here for qualifying.
Yeah, I am so worried about these guys going through the water fountain area there, Sam. You should have. All I gotta say is, people out there watching, Discord was hilarious today. The comment of you, Sam, being in the middle of the water fountain in a Speedo. Like, come on.
Yeah, the drivers were getting a little bit outrageous with
I'm
some of the
sorry.
calls they were wanting to see for themselves, that's for sure. But the water fountain area, gonna be, again, a very narrow spot for them to watch
Yeah.
out for. But interesting thing about the water fountain, if we see a driver completely miss their braking zone or forget that they need to brake there, you can drive over the fountain. There is a spot where if you hit it just right, your car can fly over the fountain.
Yep.
So drivers are going to have to be aware of that. I've heard some drivers say if their race is going terribly, there's no one around,
Why
they
not?
might send it over the fountain just to call it a night in a spectacular way. But currently, Gavin Rogers puts down a 1 minute 21.9 second time, 100th behind Gavin Rogers was Vincent Sora. So we got ourselves a quick battle for the top of the board. Zach Hall was hoping to maybe find some extra speed. He'll fall to fourth, as Larry Yingling going to be third fastest, as our top five going to be Gavin Rogers, Vincent Sora, Larry Yingling, Zach Hall, Brian P. Johnson. And that looks to be our fast five currently. So maybe a handful of other drivers to watch out for. One that I'm not counting on is got to be this 9 of Shane Tarian. Road courses have never been his specialty, but got to be just trying to maximize the amount of loss that you can do
Right.
on the fact that you're trying to just run fast laps for yourself. And if you can minimize the mistakes of drivers around you, you can find yourself getting a decent finish here tonight, because with having 40 drivers expected to take the green here this evening, that is a lot of points you can lose if you finish outside of the top 25.
Well, exactly. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth there, Sam. There's certain drivers that, like you were saying with the Shantarian, road courses haven't been nice to them, but you capitalize on other people's mistakes, and you can move up, through the standings, which gives you more points, because we are packing 40 to almost average of 40 drivers a race here at WSSR, and every point matters. You're running for a championship. You can't, depend on smaller fields. So you really just got to go out there and race your race and just try to do the best that you can.
And it's going to be a tough one, as Shane Tarian will qualify 22nd on the board after his time's over. And Douglas Newbegin's going to absolutely smash those tire barrier wall. And that is a terrible spot to be making a collision for the 7, who was on their first lap. Now going to have to reset and see if he can get out there for another lap. But with only 2 minutes and 27 seconds left in qualifying, Douglas Newbegin, who I talked to Douglas slightly before getting up into the booth, and the 7 machine said he wasn't expecting a lot. Don't expect a podium finish from himself, but Douglas Newbegin, he might be starting at the tail end of the field. Another driver that we know that can be fast at road courses, but he might be restricted just to 1 lap. It's going to be Danny Cochran in the 2 machine, yet to put a lap time down, and currently is on his warm-up lap. He's going to have to be getting a little bit quicker here if he even wants to get 1 lap in before qualifying's over.
Yeah, I mean, they give you a little bit of extended time on that on iRacing, but not too much. Like you said, he's really got to get going. He's got to get this lap in, because he's looking at 1 minute and 40 here, and he's just now about ready to to get that that starting lap right here as he's coming out that straight there on turn 11 there, Sam.
Turn 11, last corner on track at the hairpin. Then you take the long stretch, driving down the east shoreline drive straight away as you head down into turn 1, as you head to the aquarium section of the track. as the two Danny Cochran going to hit his marks, and I believe he's going to have just enough time to get one lap in, but you're also trying to be fast, minimize your mistakes, and the first lap is not the kindest on these tires. Your tires are very cold, and for Danny Cochran, he's got to make sure that he does not hit the wall at all. We've already seen a couple of mistakes during qualifying so far, and with less than a minute left, this Lariat Productions machine is trying his best to go as fast as he can, as Danny now goes into turn number 6. Still has 5 more corners to go with 45 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, he's really got to pick up the pace, Sam. I don't think I mean, if he makes it, it's going to be extremely close.
He's going to be working with around 5 seconds of buffer to work with. So, and if you make that mistake and you're 5 seconds slower than the peak time that you're looking for, you could fall all the way down to outside the top 20. So Danny has to hit his marks. 17 seconds left. He's now into the final hairpin. Should have enough time to cross the line. Now the question is going to be looming of how fast was this one lap for the 2 machine. 34 drivers put down a time. Where will the 35th time be placed as Danny crosses? Will it be inside the top 20? He's hoping for it. And the 2 put him inside the top 10. It's 7th on the board for Danny Cochran.
Nice lap. He timed that out just perfectly.
And you might be wondering, why would you wait so long? Well, the temperatures in the track has been evolving as practice has moved from practice to qualify. Now we're entering into the warm-up period, and that track temp is warm. These drivers are dealing with very warm conditions. It's 80 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The track temp, at one moment during practice, Robert, it was almost at 130 degrees.
Wow.
It has been periodically dropping, so these drivers hoping to get a little bit more practice if possible, but you see the track temp, it drops again, and as the track gets cooler, the laps get a little bit faster. We're going to be seeing a lot of excitement out there on track, as well as seeing how these drivers can evolve throughout this evening. Luckily, there's not a lot of wind that they're working with. I think that's going to be a big help as well, but we're now going to take a look at our point standings entering into tonight's race, as we're going to be giving these drivers 5 minutes to get any last practice in. And we look at how the point standings have been so far. Well, one driver looking outside, hoping for a good run. 17th place is where we find Gavin Rogers, who's the major favorite to win here tonight.
Yep.
And if he wins, he's bouncing someone out, and that could be a massive push for the 75 machine. But Vincent Soares still top of the board after his 2 wins this season. He's feeling very comfortable for himself. But looking at some of the other drivers that are surprise drivers outside, we still have Joshua Kanata 18th in points, Tom Sinchek 20th, Brian McCann, who was one of the favorites to win a championship last season, in 21st. Kind of shocking to see some of these names that are outside looking in.
Yeah, you know, actually, Sam, I agree with you. But you know what the main thing was is I was studying the points today. I was looking at it, you know, making sure everything's ready to go for the broadcast. And you look at the stage points and the wins. It's pretty amazing, because if you look at Drew down in 30th position, he has won both stages. Okay, so he's got 20 points, but he only has a total of 48 points. So that massive difference, if it wasn't for the stage points, he would not be in 30th position. And then I was looking over here, you know, in the top 15, and looking at the guys that are like, if you look here, you got John Forbes Jr., no stage points, but he's in 7th position. So that's, you know, tale of 2 different stories going on here with the points.
Yeah, and also it doesn't help that Drew Jula has missed out on a couple of races and will be missing tonight's race for the 77 machine.
Right.
Hate to see it, but he's on vacation. He's having fun. He's sent a picture, you know, talking about Discord, you know, messages from the drivers. He sent a photo during practice saying, hey, waiting for you guys at Long Beach. Not seeing you guys there, so he's hanging out at the beach for himself. But as we're inside of our final 2 minutes of warm-up, this is our usual time to decide who we think are drivers to watch out for here tonight. Who may be drivers that we have on our pick'ems list. And we're going to start out with my pick, who I feel like is a driver to watch out for. I'm going to go with the 28 machine of Brian P. Johnson. Brian's known for being very consistent at the ovals. I think he's going to try to translate that here to consistency on the road course. And I think with some of the strategies, I've heard some drivers on what calls they're going to make to go for a win here tonight. I think the 28 could be a driver that could try to steal his way into victory lane if the strategies line up for himself. But Robert, now it's your time. Who are you feeling it might be a driver to watch out for here tonight?
Well, I have to second to you on that with Brian P. Johnson. We've seen him, do his level of things on road courses, and it's funny because I picked the same driver as you did, Sam, and we haven't even talked before we did our pick'ems. So I second to everything that you say. I think Brian is due for a win. He's having good runs, but you can just hear it in his voice that he's frustrated a little bit, where he just feels like he can do better. And I think tonight that table can turn for him here at Long Beach.
It certainly could, and with the 28 starting in 5th place, it's a great place for himself to qualify. And there's a few other drivers also of note. Like we said, Gavin Rogers, the fastest driver. But the one thing for Gavin Rogers, I've seen him do road course races before, and he's notoriously known for taking tires at pit stops, where most of the rest of the field does not think the tires are going to be that important. I think that could be the changing factor that could lose the win for Gavin Rogers if he decides to take tires compared to those that don't. But as warm-up is coming to a conclusion, we do want to say thank you to our amazing sponsors at Trophy Smack for being a huge sponsor and help to the WSSR Cup Series, as they have been the trophy provider since all the way back in Season 4 of WSSR. It started off with a few championship rings for 3 seasons in a row, and for the past 2 seasons we've had championship trophies going to Benjamin Nelson. This season, though, someone new is going to get a brand new trophy from Trophy Smack, and if you're looking to get yourself a trophy from Trophy Smack, remember to go to trophysmack.com and use the promo code WSSR Smack for 10% off on purchase. Thank you so much, Trophy Smack. And to the rest of the field, it's time for some great racing action as we have over 40 drivers ready to take the green. I need to take a huge deep breath because we got a lot of drivers to go through, and it's time for 44 laps of great racing action here this evening. As we bring up our qualifying grid, here's where they're going to be starting out this evening. That top spot going to go to the 75 of Gavin Rogers, and Gavin going to be grabbing his 3rd pole in a row. He's been the fast man on that one lapper, and he does it again. But the driver that's won the last 2 races in a row been Vincent Sora, going to be starting on his outside. Larry Yingling going to be starting in 3rd place. Zach Hall 4th. Brian P. Johnson 5th, with Aaron Smith the 2nd, 6th. 7th, we find Danny Cochran. 8th, we find ourselves with Christopher Norris. 9th, we find Cedric Hunter. And our top 10 going to finish out with 26th of Tom Sinchak. Fast driver during practice going to find it qualifying 17 of Chris Stitz starting in 11th. Ryan Kelly will start in 12th. Ryan Noel, it's another fast driver during practice. Where will he find his speed? He'll start in 13th. Brian McCann needing a huge surge to try to find himself in the top 16 of points. He'll start 14th here tonight. Nick Crawford, another fast road course driver, going to be starting in 15th position. Bronson Stafford didn't get any practice except for the first 1 hour we got before this race. He'll start 16th, with Andrew Medlin starting in 17th. Richard Wolsifer will start 18th. Edward Sherwood Jr. will start 19th, and finishing out our top 20, we find Jared Hughes. That's only half of our field so far. Then in 21st, it's going to be the 16 of Joshua Kanata. 22nd is John Forbes Jr. In 23rd, we find the 15 machine of Ken Campbell. He's been having computer issues. We're hoping that those are fixed for tonight's race, as he has not been able to finish the last 2 runnings of WSSR races. Starting back in 24th, we find the 9 machine of Shane Tarian. Matt Mears, Shane's teammate, will start in 25th, with Cody Reed all the way down in 26th position for the 25 car. In 27th, we find Ryan Ferraro. 28th, we find the 06 of Tom Bourne. Tyler Dingler will start all the way down in 29th position, and finishing our top 30, it's the 5 of Dakota Moniz. In 31st position, we find the 98 of Ben Kinney. We find all the way down in 32nd place, it's the 53 of Christopher Wade. Justin Forbes, in the 4 will start in 33rd, with Carl Pooler in 34th position. 35th, we find Mike Tellier in the 97. 36th is the 7 of Douglas Newbigging. Ollie Fonseca, Shane Wyatt, Trenton Jump, and Matthew Rodriguez will finish out our 40 drivers here tonight. I think the drivers of note, though, that we have to always look out for, I think Vincent Sora, Robert, going to be a big driver to watch out for, but a huge surprise, Trenton Jump, all the way down in 39th place, did not qualify for himself.
Yeah, that's shocking because he's another one of those drivers that are good at road courses. We've seen him at Watkins Glen. We've seen him at Sonoma. He knows how to get around some road racing and has won here on the channel in a couple leagues too. So kind of shocking. We'll see how he plays that out. But man, oh man, here comes the carnage, I think, or hopefully these guys don't make a big carnage, as right here is where it's going to be watching.
We're going to wait and see who can make it through. Already having a little bit of jostling back on that final corner, but up front it's Gavin Rogers, Vincent Soar going to be the front two drivers as they hit the straightaway. They're going to be going at full song speed up front, and it's going to be all Gavin Rogers for now. Vincent Soar in second as the field is trying to make their way through. Tom Bourne's going to be the first driver to have major troubles for himself into the tire in the wall through the corner. Mike Tellier also going to be leaving pit road. Same for Tyler Dangler as they decide not to be running with the grid. They'll start in pit road, but up front it's all Gavin Rogers, Vincent Sora. The front two have pulled away from the rest of the field. Zach Hall in third. Fourth is Larry Yingling and Aaron Smith the second in fifth place. Your top five feeling good. The buildings are high, but up front, it's all your leaders as the middle of the field single files out. That's the big thing, and that's going to help us through these first couple of laps, is stay single file, and you'll find yourself having a good run here tonight. But it's going to be the middle of this course, turns 5 through 10, where drivers are just trying to hit their marks to survive before they get to the hairpin, where they got to go almost to a dead stop to get through the corner.
Yeah, almost like you said, through the hairpin, through that stop. There's a little bit of carnage, unfortunately, that happened there on the start of the race, and unfortunately, it looks like we might have a couple drivers out here, Sam, or did everybody finally make it in? No, it looks like we have one driver that didn't make it through in pit road.
It's Tom Bourne that's going to be out of this race. Mike Tellier having internet issues, just getting his vehicle registered in, and going to be leaving pit road here shortly. As lap number one, give it to the 75 of Gavin Rogers, 51 of Vincent Sora feeling well, as you see Tellier as multiple drivers leaving pit road and getting out on course. Now, drivers cannot swing all the way out to that wall on the inside on the straightaway. You can't get a penalty, and here's the trouble of the fountain. They're squeezing, they're piling, and it's Brian P. Johnson stuck, squandered, and almost gridlock at the fountain. Will we see a yellow? Not the case just yet. Race control not deeming it, and they continue to pile into one another, and that was the big issue. One of the big circle points was the fountain is a place where you have to stay single file, and there's the reason why you can't go too wide, but running into one another, tough spot. As it's going to be Chris Stitz, big wiggle for himself, but it's Brian P. Johnson with the biggest loss and getting the biggest commentator's curse as he runs from up inside our top 10 to now outside and falling very quickly to the back of the pack.
Yeah, unfortunately, and we were waiting for that. Eventually that was going to happen, like you said, Sam. So, wow, I mean, unfortunately it happened to Brian, and I don't know who is going to do the grounds crew stuff, but they're going to have to replace some flowers after tonight's race because Brian just said, heck, I'm going to go right through everything and say, oh, we got the 11 there. John Forbes looks like braking too hard.
Getting onto the brakes, and drivers have been trying to figure out the braking zones as they go into the hairpin. Another, again, coming up to almost a dead stop. These drivers have to go. The minimal speed that they hit is around 15 miles per hour. It's one of two places that you shift down into first gear, and already trouble being shown for these drivers. But again, the braking zones are tough. Drivers, again, they have 5 gears that they have to shift through. And some drivers, when they do an early shift, they find themselves in trouble. But if you use too much brake, you see that puff of smoke of the tires locking up. It's another thing that is very hard for this field that they're trying to deal with. But through the fountain section, once again, it looks a lot cleaner that go around.
Brian
the drivers in the middle of the field,
around.
but it's Brian P. Johnson looping it just outside the top 10. And now he'll fall very quickly through the field. There's just no space for the 28. He'll fall going backwards, in its contact once again between the 28 and the 38 of Christopher Norris and Brian P. Johnson. There's the contact exiting the fountain, and then going to be seen Christopher Norris, Brian P. Johnson, slight contact off the exit of the corner. And again, it's Brian getting the worst of it.
Brian, I don't know what to say, but unfortunately, Brian and Christopher there got tangled up a little bit, and now we see Nick Crawford almost out braking that turn, and keeping it where he needs to be. But wow, I mean, unfortunately for Brian, but right now, Gavin Rogers twice now has put down the fastest lap of the race here on that number 4.
And we're going to see that a lot as the run progresses forward. I talk about how the heat builds into these tires and enables these vehicles to run faster laps every single lap. We might even see when they're about 20, 30 laps into a run, might be putting some of their fastest laps down. And don't be surprised by that, especially when you do the fact that these vehicles get a little bit lighter, a little bit faster, and that extra temp in the tires gives that extra grip. It's going to be a comfortable feeling for the majority of them, as Tom Bourne still is going to be officially out of this race. Mike Tellier looks to be sitting in pit road, might be playing a little bit of spotter, but he just left the session. So we only have 38 drivers out on track. Richard Wilson for 1 lap down. Rest of the field trying to hit their marks. As you see your Andrew Medlin cam as the 12 runs in 16th place, but under fire from Tom Sinchek in the 26. Looks like we're having a little bit of issues with our driver cam, but we're still seeing Andrew Medlin now going to be fighting with the 68 of Jared Hughes. He's now trying to figure out how to get by, if possible, for himself. But this is one of those spots where the field is trying to make these corners and hit their marks, and it looks like one driver required damage for themselves. That's going to be Ben Keating in the 98 machine. He's going to be sent into pit road. Struggling was that machine, but one driver up front, major issue for Vincent Sora in the 51. He is spun out. Now Zach Hall makes the pass for second, and the 32, who's very much under the weather, dealing with some major illnesses, is Zach Hall, is struggling just to hit his marks, but able to find the mistake from Vincent Sora to slot into second.
That's what Zach Hall needs here is you got capitalize on mistakes. We said it right, Sam. I mean, so right now, and it looks like we might have had an issue with John Forbes. Looks like Nick Crawford might have went off track a little bit. These guys are trying to keep things going, but it's a chaos right through. But I have to admit, though, watching the start of this race, not too bad.
No, with having 40 drivers, there's only been a handful of drivers going around, a couple of hard contacts, but overall, it's been a pretty decent race as Bronson Stafford kind of doing a herding the sheep motion as he is holding back everyone for 12th on back. One driver, though, that has had some major damage for himself and is just puttering around at this moment. That's going to be running in 32nd place, Carl Pooler in the 58 machine. Struggling. It seems like if you have a double digit that ends with an 8, tonight has just not been your night so far. As Carl Pooler, no front clip, is still trying to make his way through. Another driver having issues, and it's going to be coming off of, it looks like the last corner. It's Chris Stitz. Big scare for himself as more drivers pile in. There's Trent Jump as well, and more drivers trying to get themselves pointed straight. Stitz backs up, tries to find an opening to spin himself back around. He'll try to do so here quickly, but now he sees more drivers off the exit of the final bend. Just not enough space. Finally able to find the markings for Stitz to spin around, and that is that's got to be frustrating just watching the whole field drive on by.
Right? I mean, you just sit there going, man, I got to turn this thing around, but watching everybody go right on by, and now he's going to drop all the way down to 35th position, Sam. So, unfortunately, circumstances for him, and now it looks like we've got a little bit of battling going on up here. Ryan Johnson, and, well, we've seen what Douglas Newbigin can do. He's ripping that car all over the place.
Yeah, Douglas struggled during qualifying. We saw him slam into the tire barrier wall, and again, did not have the most confidence entering tonight's race. Was the 7 machine, but he certainly is going to be trying his best so far. As Brian P. Johnson on this recovery run at one moment was inside of our top 10, qualified 5th, and has just been on a plummeting wrong direction after 2 contacts between himself and Christopher Norris sent him back to 27th. We look up further into the field, and we're seeing some other drivers that are trying to hit their marks. Here's the 8 machine of Brian McCann as they march their way through corner number 1 into the fountain section. We can see the Dolphins jumping and looping around the fountain. Now going to be heading towards corner number 4 and 5 is the 8 machine, and seeing some very close racing action at Cedric Hunter, Danny Cochran, And as well, I believe that's going to be one of the lap down cars that they're dealing with as well, that they're trying to find their way through. But up front, it has been a lot of cluster racing of no one able to truly get away from one another.
No, not yet. As we're watching here, still riding with Brian here. As yeah, he's. I mean, this track. And the other thing that comes to, and we haven't talked about it yet, Sam, is they're shifting up gear, down gear. A lot of guys. This track demands a lot of shifting, so there could be some shifting problems too. That you might not shift right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these drivers, every single one of these drivers is going through all 5 gears that they're dealing with. There's just 2 corners where you have to go down into first gear. Majority of these corners are shifting down into second. Some are shifting into staying in third, but take a look on the onboard. This is one of the 2 sections where you go into first gear. Off the exit, Vincent Sora trying to run down Zach Hall for second place. He'll shift back into first. Some drivers like to stay in first for this whole stint. Others like to stay in second for this whole area. And trouble in front, that's going to be Justin Forbes in the Ford, who is going to be another driver going a lap now. He's only have, crazy enough, 33 drivers are still in the lead lap, as our leaders have been dealing with lap traffic for a little bit here for Gavin Rogers. Not a lot, as most of the time when it catches up to lap traffic, they're either pulling into the pits or already spun around. As more drivers with required damage, Douglas Newbigging just leaving pit road after required damage. Taking a tow is going to be Justin Forbes, and Matthew Rodriguez is still in pit road with required damage. Again, still watching the battle for second place, as we are down to just a total of 35 drivers able to continue to race here tonight. It's a little bit of blinking issues, middle of the field, but here we go. Vincent Sora, chance to battle for that second place position.
Yeah, he got a great run there, going through 11 there on Zach Hall, and now he's got the draft. He's got a long straight. This is the fastest part of the track as they go down into turn number 1 here. He's going to look on the outside, and I don't know, he might be able to do it, Sam.
Down into turn number 1, trying to outbrake Zach Hall, and Hall had already said over the radio about 2 laps ago, hey, if you've got the run, go for it. I'll give you that position. Again, Zach Hall under the weather here tonight, and a lot of drivers haven't been feeling too great. Sickness has been kind of going through a wave of some of these drivers and teams for the last about month. It's been kind of wild to see a lot of these drivers dealing with sickness, but for Zach Hall, he is just at this moment hoping to stay inside of our top 10. Again, end of the lap 15, there will be no full course yellow thrown unless there is a full blockage on track. But at the end of the lap 15, top 10 drivers get bonus points. And right now, Gavin Rogers, 12 seconds ahead of second place. I think he's in a comfortable position with no one around. This is looking a little bit very similar to F1 racing with Max Verstappen kind of dominating up front with no one around. And Gavin Rogers having a similar feeling where he's just up front, no one's even close. And it's just hit your marks, minimize the mistakes. But I would say in the next 10 to 15 laps, Gavin Rogers is going to have a very different race in front of him when he starts to hit the majority of traffic with these major pods of drivers he's going to have to drive around.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's set sail right now, and he's looking good. But like you said, Sam, eventually comes a time when you're going to catch up to the back half of the traffic. So all you can hope for is when that happens is that people part ways for you and let you just go by. But eventually he's going to run into 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or plus, pods of cars that are in a pack, and he's going to have to figure out how to get around them because they're racing for position too, as we all know. So they're just not going to pull over nicely and say, hey, go. They're going to want to stay on the lead lap, as much as anybody.
Oh, absolutely. As more drivers having some major issues. Douglas Newbigging is forced into pit road with a black flag and damage repair. Richard Wolsifer has just pulled into pit road with required damage. A lot of drivers have been spinning out off the exit of the corner because they're shifting into such low gears. Drivers are slamming the throttle button, throttle accelerator, and it's finding the rear ends, kind of wanting to wiggle, loop around at times. Drivers have been struggling, as one of those has just been hitting his marks and kind of defending the rest of the field. Bronson Stafford has been running 12th. At one moment had about a 10-car train that was just on top of the 61. still runs in 12th, and no one's been able to get by him.
No, he's looking really good here. He's just outside the top 10, and he's got Christopher Norris right in front of him. I do believe that he might be. He's running a lot faster than what Christopher is right now, so he should be able to catch up to him. And then you got Ed Sherwood Jr., right up there in 10th position. So if Bronson Stafford just keeps the 61 car nice and clean, Sam, I do believe that he's going to at least get into the top 10.
I mean, he's dealing with a little bit of right side damage. You can see it's slightly crinkled and from tapping the wall. But I think that the challenge to catch up to Christopher Norris and Edward Sherwood Jr. for a top 10 finish might be a little bit, unless there's issues in front, I think that might be a little bit too much reaching. Again, the gap is 12.5 seconds, almost 13 seconds between those two drivers. And I think more so it's for Bronson, it's survive, defend, and stay inside of the top 15 if possible, as very fast drivers are trying to get by that 61. Christopher Norris, though, who's had I would imagine more of a mental race than anything else after getting into friend driver of Ryan P. Johnson multiple times and shipping him off to another part of the racetrack. I think for the 38 machine, it's trying to reset. He's done a decent job at that, being close to Edward Sherwood Jr. and Brian McCann, but Norris is a fast and very good road course racer. We know that this is one of his strong suits. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to, if he can mentally recover, take both of these spots and try his best to run down 8th and 7th place.
Yeah, we'll have to see, like you said there, Sam. The big thing right now is that damage, with getting into his friend Brian Johnson there, and having a little carnage here left and right. You can see it on the front end of that vehicle. It's pretty well bruised up a little bit there on the looks like on the left side there. So we'll have to see if that affects him. We're not worrying about aerodynamics too much here. So he might be able to get that fixed when he does come in and make his pit stop. So talking about pit stops here. I forget, they told us how many laps they can go. What is it again, around 30 something?
It's around 30 to 35 laps these
Okay.
drivers can go. So when they do decide to come into pit road, some drivers, if they've made the right adjustments, won't even need to take a full tank of gas. They're going to be able to take about a half container for themselves, just a few gallons, and it'll enable them to take it to the end of this race. So some drivers might be thinking about splitting this race in half to lessen the amount of fuel that you put in. Others might be thinking about building up a gap until they feel like, all right, we've got to get enough spacing that when I go into pit road, I'll still be in the lead lap, and as well, I'll be able to have some free track position and spacing to try to go as quick as I can. I think finding spacing on track to when you exit pit road and there's not a lot of traffic around you is what you're looking for as a driver. And if you're the likes of Gavin Rogers, I think pitting sooner than later might be a better decision for yourself.
Mhm.
Because looking at the track map, it's about to get very busy for our leader up front, as we're still seeing the battling going on between Brian McCann and Edward Sherwood Jr. But I think lap traffic could be playing a massive problem for our leaders here tonight on how they could influence this race. We've seen it in the past road courses. You might see it here tonight.
And you can see they're 2x2 right up in front of him here, and it looks like it's Shane Witt and Shane Wyatt. We have a problem there with Ollie Fonseca, I do believe.
That was Ollie Fonseca able to get that nose pony straight for the 24 machine. As they go into the hairpin, Shane Wyatt will go extremely wide, and that's exactly what you want to see for Gavin Rogers. Lap traffic, trying to get out of the way as quickly as possible, minimize the amount of time being lost, because with all that lap traffic, that lap, Gavin Rogers lost over 3.5 seconds over Vincent Sora, just showing how tough lap traffic is to get through. The one positive that you can take away if you're Gavin Rogers is all the traffic you're passing, all the other fast drivers have to pass as well in the next 5 to 6 laps.
Exactly. So you can regain it if they can't get through the lap traffic as easy as you can. But you can see right now Ryan Ferraro saying, look, you might be fast, but I'm not giving you no line here. I'm going to try to stay on the lead lap, as Gavin Rogers is going to swing it outside there and try to take him down into the next turn. Looks like he's going to be able to clear him, and they do clear as Gavin Rogers puts another vehicle a lap down.
Does it again, and I think the big thing, it was in that section of the course is, oh no, trouble for Shane Wyatt as he goes around for the 27 machine. A puff of smoke, tries to get rolling. Vincent Soares says, thank you very much. I'll take that spot. But Shane Wyatt, with that collision, going to have to head to pit road. Required damage for the 27 machine.
Yeah, unfortunately, but you know the joke of tonight's race here, Sam, is that anybody that says that they didn't make the race, they're all going to Hooters here, because apparently there's a Hooters at this track, and everybody wants to go hang out there.
I have no idea. I did not go in depth on that research.
I seen pictures of it, so.
Well, I mean, for some of these drivers, maybe that's their ultimate destination if they're having a rough day and already calling it a night. A few drivers have already done so. Richard Wilsifer, Tom Bourne, Mike Tellier officially have called it a night. Some of our first drivers to hit pit road, though, shockingly, was seeing the likes of, Shane White had to be forced to pit road, but who will be the first drivers in the middle of the field to make their pit stop? I think that's going to be a big thing for themselves on how this field is going to be able to react here tonight to get through traffic. I think it's going to be the biggest problem of if you enter pit road and exit with a lot of traffic around you, you could be stuck. Speaking of stuck, though, 38th position driver Ben Keeney stuck on course, and he's got to either take the tow or wait for traffic, because he's got to get pointed out straight quickly, because our leaders will be here in a quick margin. And I'd imagine it'd be faster for the 98 to take the tow, as he's given up so much time. But watch out, because an opening might show up and our leaders might be coming on by as Gavin Rogers does so. And Ben continues to stay, but no, Cody Reed makes contact.
And we just, you just said that, Sam. I think it's best that he either sits there and
you just have to take the tow at this point. It would have been faster to take the tow than wait all that time. And gets pointed straight and gives damage. It's an irritating moment for all the other drivers, because with the amount of drivers being spread out at this time, you're more of a hazard sitting still than just trying to get out of there as quick as possible.
Agreed. Oh, as he hits the wall again, I think that vehicle's got a tow link problem or something's broken on it, unfortunately, as he just hit the wall again. So, and now he's blinking out. Oh my goodness.
What in the world happened to Ben? As he's having major system errors. That is a complete system error on what just happened to that 98. Something majorly broke, and I think it also is just his whole entire sim racing rig broke. Luckily, he disconnected and took a tow immediately to pit road, because it could have been a lot worse damage to a lot of oncoming traffic. Oh, that was a scary moment for the field.
That might explain a little bit, Sam, why he was just sitting there, because he might have had a black screen and not knowing where he's at, you know what I mean? So that does happen. I mean, we talk about it all the time of real life and sim racing. Your mechanical errors is your computer screen and whatever you got going on, would equal to, blowing motor, brake rotors blowing up, things like that. So unfortunately for him, he's going to have to call it a night, though, and hopefully he can get that issues fixed.
And as we were distracted with the Ben Keeney incident, our stage has officially concluded for stage 1 for the field, as Gavin Rogers will be your stage winner. He will take that extra 10 bonus points with Vincent Soares second. There wasn't any movement the last 2 laps, so the way that your top 10 run now, far the way that the points were given out at the end of lap 15. But with these drivers just crossing and getting closer and closer to the halfway zone of this race, we're expected to see pit stops start to open up as the weather starting to cool off. So it's about to ramp up for the field. The wind has also been kind of shifting a little bit here and there, but overall it's the track temp that we keep our eyes loomed on as this race progresses forward. But I think, Robert, this might be the best time that we've had to take a commercial break. When we come back, it's going to be some more amazing racing action for the WSSR Cup Series, as it has been all Gavin Rogers. Well, pit stops might change everything here. As we step away, we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. We'll be back for more Long Beach racing, road course racing action for race 4 of the season. We'll be back right after this. 5 wide behind for 5th.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at me, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it, he steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. We are giving you coverage of the WSSR Cup Series Season 9, Race 4 at California's Long Beach, as the street course has been quite ruthless to some, gifting to others, as we're watching currently the battle going on for 14th position. Bronson Stafford, as well as John Forbes Jr. and Trenton Jumper on top of one another. And then inside of our top 10, there's another couple of close battles from 5th all the way down to 10th place, all on top of each other. But the biggest news of it all, under a commercial break, issues for our leader of Gavin Rogers. Ran into the wall barrier, losing over 6 seconds, about 6.5 seconds, and it's enabled Vincent Sora to be within 3 seconds now, as the 75 has been able to get by more lap traffic and being able to move forward. Some drivers have already made their first pit stops of the day, which should be their only ones, as we're closing in on halfway. Some of those drivers being Brian P. Johnson, topped off on fuel only. Same for Carl Pooler, runs in 30th for fuel only. We have lost about 5 drivers so far here tonight, being Shane Wyatt, In 34th place, Richard Wolsifer, Ben Kinney, as well as Tom Bourne and Mike Tellier all called it an evening so far. My name is Sam Dyer, and joining me up in the booth has been Robert Moyer Jr. here this evening. And Robert, during that commercial break, a lot of small issues popped up, and helping some, hurting others. But Gavin Rogers leaving dwindled down to just 5 seconds is probably the biggest surprise. But Vincent Sora seems to be having some slight trouble with lap traffic. It's costed him and his grip wrapped with some slight right side damage. The 51 having some issues right now, and all that time that he gained almost is all drifted away in a quick second.
Yeah, within what, 1 or 2 turns there, he's lost everything that he gained, and you can see on the left side he's scraped up too. So just, I think it's just coming down to, Sam, is that, you know, mental error. People just,
it wasn't mental error. It was major troubles around Brian P. Johnson and Brian Noel running into one another that caused the issue, and Vincent Sora had to really back it down to get by those drivers.
Gotcha. Okay, well, it wasn't mental error. It was just, you know, waiting to hopefully not hit anybody else out there, unfortunately. But yeah, everything that he gained, now he's 8 seconds behind, and you know, as fast as, you know, we talk about it, and Zach brings it up a lot, you know, when you guys are commentating, you know, one turn from Gavin Rogers, you know, hitting the wall, scraping it, can change this whole race within a second.
It certainly can. I mean, he went from having over a 12-second lead to down to almost 2.5 seconds because of one mistake for Gavin Rogers. So, you know, he's got to figure out how to minimize those mistakes. Don't grab any more. And other drivers that are out there on course trying to get by lap traffic, it causes a lot more stress as we're watching the battle going on for 5th place. Ryan Kelly in the 3 blue and white machine being hunted down by the Hello Kitty. 13 is Cedric Hunter, as Cedric trying to find any small way to get by the 3. As again, this is the battle for 5th place. Other drivers that have made some pit stops, Brian McCann, and McCann not given the knowledge of going to pit road and just top off on fuel. There's 4 tires in fuel for the 8 machine. So some drivers, how much time are you willing to give up to take fresh rubber? As a few more drivers have been making a sign that pit road is calling for these next about 5 laps.
Yeah, and you know, we brought this up, Sam, you know, normally you don't change tires as, oh, Ryan Kelly into the wall, oh, and Cedric Hunter's going to go by him. I'll go back to that a little bit later, what I was saying there, Sam. But yeah, Ryan Kelly just smashed the wall.
Just you missed the braking zone in one fell swoop, and it can hurt you dramatically, as Kelly now will just be forced into pit road for the 3 machine. But other drivers forced into pit road for non-reasons of strategy calls. Chris Stitz got into the wall, required damage for the 17. Matthew Rodriguez is back into pit road, and same for Justin Forbes to get repairs done. As drivers are entering pit road to get service done for themselves, you're seeing the 3 trying to get his 4 tires and fuel on. It looks like fuel only for Kelly, 4 tires and fuels for Stitz. As we move to 7th place, where we find Edward Sherwood Jr. getting himself through this course as quickly as he can.
Edward's having a great run here tonight. You know, he's running up here in 7th position. Good for him. We got Cedric Hunter. Another driver that we haven't talked about too much is Larry here, having a great run up here in the 4th position right now, Sam.
Yeah, Larry's kind of a driver that gets overshadowed a lot when you look at road course racing. He's a 3-time champ of the WSSR, but you look at the history of road course racing, it's been a lot of seeing Zach Hall dominate at times. You see Brian and Cedric have their moments of shining at road courses, and also Vincent Sora of recently. And this 67's always just been a driver inside the top 5, always there. Oh no, trouble for Cedric Hunter and Ollie Fonseca. A couple of other drivers piling in. That's Christopher Norris that just muscles his way through. And this is the major issue we've been hoping to not see. Calamity strikes as the Hello Kitty machine cannot get off of the 61. They both finally get all 4 tires on the ground. And that's the hairpin issues. And for Bronson Stafford, who had already pit, that's a major loss of time that he did not want to grab.
Oh my goodness. And unfortunately, well, we just seen it, Sam. I don't know what to say. I mean, he hit Cedric that good that it took the car off 2 wheels.
Yeah, and especially with the new damage models that a lot of vehicles were given last week, it's kind of opened up the ability to ramp up onto other drivers a lot easier now. And you saw it there of the Hello Kitty machine of the 13 of Citric Hunter and Bronson Stafford in the 61, getting a little bit too frisky with one another. But looking at drivers that have made pit stops, of our front three, Vincent Sora has made his stop. The 51 taking his stop, and now into pit road's Gavin Rogers as Sora's trying to take off to try to gain all this time back. The question for Gavin Rogers, what type of a pit stop are we going to see? Is he taking tires or is it fuel only for the 75?
Oh, we're going to find out right here, Sam, as we're going to see what he does. And he pulls into his pit stop, and right now he's getting his fuel.
It's just fuel?
In. Yeah, it looks like just a fuel only. Yep, and that's what it is, Sam.
Massive call. We've seen the mistake of taking tires in the past from Gavin Rogers that have lost him races of the road courses in these next-gen cars. Stopping off on fuel is major. Now the next big thing for this 75, how much traffic will he have to deal with as Zach Hall still leads this race yet to pit? Same for Larry Yingling and Christopher Norris, your top three currently. Those three still need to pit. There's still about, I would say, 12 drivers in the window that still need to pit before this race is over. But as the laps dwindle away, it's now the march of how well can Vincent Sora try to run down Gavin Rogers, and it looks like the gap might be a little bit too big. It's around 11 seconds the difference between 4th and 5th place runners right now.
Yeah, and just looking at the lap times, the pit box, Gavin Rogers was in 6.7 compared to Vincent Sora's 6.6. But Vincent Sora had a better pit lane than Gavin Rogers. So, yeah, better pit lane than Gavin Rogers. So, unfortunately, he didn't gain or really lose anything on pit road there.
Yeah, and the big loss, though, was lap traffic for Vincent Sora. He came out around that cluster of drivers that were involved with that major wreck coming out of the turn 11 hairpin. And that's where a lot of the time was lost for the 51. Well, Gavin Rogers had pretty clean racing in front of him. He just caught up to lap traffic now for the 75 as he's been out for over a whole lap and able to just build out the gap bigger and bigger each corner as he's just gotten by Tyler Dangler in the 19 machine. Again, still waiting on about 10 drivers to make their pit stop, but here's a sign of drivers leaving pit road and trying to go into turn number 1. Andrew Medlin, very messed up 12 machine, but he stays extremely wide to let the rest of the field drive on by.
That's, yeah, good job for Andrew Medlin. You know, and a lot of these guys now here in the back half of the field, Sam, is what we alluded at the beginning of the broadcast. Just race your race. Try to get the best finish that you can and try to move up the board. I mean, you're basically seeing it's all spread out now. So now it's just about mental mistakes. And can Gavin Rogers, you know, just run a clean race for the rest of the 18 laps to go is going to be the question. And also deal with lap traffic.
And this is probably going to be the toughest situation for Gavin Rogers is what type of racing are we going to see from Christopher Norris right in front of this 75. Again, talking about how Norris has been one of the top 5 road course drivers in the past. He's not had the same speed here this evening at Long Beach, but will Christopher Norris be willing to stay out a couple of extra laps for team help as teammates? In a wide outside perspective, we've seen Christopher Norris and Vincent Sora try to help one another, but they're not officially under the same banners this season. But would we see Christopher Norris willing to try to hold back that 75 just a little bit more to maybe enhance Zach Hall's chances, or even Vincent Sora and a couple of others, as we've seen a lot of the drivers get out of the way? Those are lap cars. This is for position.
Yeah, this is for position. This is for third and fourth position here right now, basically for third. And we'll see how that all plays out as Gavin Rogers gets a great run going through them turns there, and we'll see. But you know, now I'm thinking here, Sam. When does Zach and Larry make their pit stops? You know, they got to soon eventually consider making their pit stop.
Yeah, they're going to probably consider it, maybe thinking a little bit outside the box. I think they already have their window open of when they're thinking about making their stops. Might be pushing their fuel as far as you can go. We also could be seeing maybe the field thinking about, you know, for Larry and Zach, it's kind of see how does lap traffic hold back Gavin Rogers. Do we need to put a little bit of extra fuel? What adjustments could be made to the car? Gavin Rogers is having the 4 machine spin out in front of him. That's Justin Forbes, who has a little mistake, and luckily for Rogers and Norris, able to get around that driver quickly, efficiently, not a lot of lost time. That's Gavin Rogers again. Another scare, but luckily it was someone else making the mistake, and it wasn't the 75 making a second one.
And that's what, we're alluding on through the 16 laps to go here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, a mental error like that from somebody in front of you, not even your own doing, can really mess up your race, and he luckily he had room to get around him, but if he was right up against him, he could have ran right into him there, Sam, which would have put him to a halt, which then would have helped Zach Hall, Larry, and then Vincent Sora, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. The mistakes could hurt your day,
Yep.
but also can help your day. And one of those being teammates of Gavin Rogers fall back to 8th place, where you have Jared Hughes in the 68 machine putting a heavy pressure on Cedric Hunter. And I want to give huge kudos to the 68 machine, qualified all the way back in 20th position inside of the top 10, and has done a great job at just hitting his marks, watching his competition around, have major mistakes, and he has been capitalizing with potentially a top 10 run. But the major issue for the 68 machine, Jared still has to pit. But I want to say, hey, good job on the fact that you are in the top 10 currently and keeping pace with drivers that have already made their pit stops.
Yeah, agreed. And he great run. Good, good for him. He's just out there logging laps and doing what he needs to. As here we got an up close shot, and look at them brake rotors glow there in the very back, the back of these cars here, Sam.
Yeah, they are using the brakes a lot. There are a couple of very heavy braking zones, and one being here at the here turn 11. And it's just, there's a couple of spots you make contact, and for Jared Hughes, it's the perfect time to enter pit road, get some service done for himself. Some other drivers of note that have some reasons to go into pit road: Ryan Ferraro required damage for the 34 machine, as well as Matthew Rodriguez still in pit road. And Dakota Moniz looks to might be forced into pit road for the 5 machine. But another driver of note that I want to give a huge shout out to, still yet to pit so far, that's the 18th position runner of the 46 at Trenton Jump, who's had a wild night. You see by the front bumper, very scraped in, as behind him it's the 7 of Douglas Newbegin getting a little bit of tail slapper to the outside wall. But Trenton Jump gets started all the way back in 39th position, even with the wounded machine, is currently our biggest mover of the night. Just in survival mode again for a lot of these drivers.
That is correct. In that full pressed machine there, looking really good. Like you said, he started way back, and now he's moved himself up to 18th position. This made his pit stop 4 laps ago, so good job for him, and we'll see if he can, capitalize on a couple things here, Sam, and work his way up through the field.
Going to be trying to work his way forward. As speaking of forward, we're going to move up to the battle for 2nd place. Here, Larry Yingling, Gavin Rogers going to be on top of one another, as well as having some slight lap traffic of Ken Campbell in front. Talked about how Campbell's been having issues the last 2 races with his iRacing and computer freezing on him, and loved how well we've seen Campbell race in other leagues here this season, though. It's been a rough start. But for the 15, he's trying to just continue to run his own marks, as lead lap drivers are putting the pressure to get by this machine, as seeing the drivers as we've gone green all race long, haven't had a yellow be thrown, 31 laps in the books, and we are down, Robert, to 17 drivers left on the lead lap. Looking at the numbers, we could be down to just our top 10 drivers being on the lead lap by the end of the night at this pace.
Yeah, at this pace, well, yeah, we'll have to see. And that's, look at the field we got going on here, though. Kurt, what do we got racing at? 37 drivers yet out here? So, we go to one of these tracks here that never go to, NASCAR don't go to. These guys decided to go to it, and they're all still out there battling. You got to give props to all these drivers.
Absolutely. The fact that some maybe didn't have the mental feeling of comfortability coming out here, others wanted to give it a try. Here we are, having 40 drivers take the green, and only currently 17 on the lead lap, as Aaron Smith II trying to hit his marks to have a decent finish in 8th place, as 70 machine, one of the first drivers to hit pit road, and right now could be rewarded with that early stop, as he's trying to hit his marks entering the fountain section, and seeing some other drivers doing their best to just survive these close quarters as Aaron Smith second. Looking at lap time pace, one of the fastest drivers on track is this 70 machine, as he's around the third fastest driver of those that are inside of our top 10. The fastest, that last lap, give it to the 51 of Vincent Sora, then Gavin Rogers, Zach Hall, and then it would be Aaron Smith the second.
Yeah, that's good. Zach Hall, and that goes to show you that, Aaron Smith is going really good. But, he's running the same lap times as Zach Hall, basically. But the problem is that his lap times are so faster with 12-lap tires. So it's kind of weird because we thought tires would make a difference, right, Sam? We are talking about keeping them on. Your lap times will get faster. But I'm also seeing guys that did take tires, still hold their ground.
Yeah, there's only a few drivers that have decided to take tires, that being 13th place runner Brian McCann, as well as Andrew Medlin, in 21st position, and I believe might have been a little bit of repairs done and tires for the 23rd place runner of Bronson Stafford. Rest of the field, it has been fuel only for the majority of their stops, as last couple of drivers to peel off into pit road is going to be Joshua Kanata, and then about half of the drivers inside of our top 11 still need a pit. One of those being Zach Hall, who currently leads this race, but Zach very much under the weather, was not feeling well for himself. And one of those drivers, I talked to him, he's hoping to get him to kind of a rhythm mode where he doesn't have to think too hard about this race. And with it not being a traditional NASCAR race, it's a little bit harder to hit your marks and stay consistent when you're feeling very much under the weather.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So yeah, people might look at this as a game like we talk about all the time, Sam. A sim game, some call it a game, but you got to remember these guys are sitting behind a computer. Some have air conditioner and some don't. Some have a fan blowing on you, and then on top of it, you don't feel good. So your brain is not thinking 100% because you feel lousy. So you got to give the guy credit for up here, leading the race right now. He's led 8 laps so far here. He is on his stint of 34 laps, so his pit stop should be soon coming up.
Yeah, I think Zach has a little bit more time. They could try to stretch his fuel out to, I believe, the furthest that you could push it out is around 36 to 37 laps. But yeah, if you're pushing it that far, you got to make sure that you don't miss the box. I haven't seen anyone miss pit entry.
Yeah.
It's kind of you have to be direct about going into pit road. But expected once Zach goes into pit road, it's going to be giving the lead to Gavin Rogers, who's going to have still over about a 10 12 second lead over Vincent Sora, and Gavin Rogers has just been on it. This has been all the 75's race, unless he throws it away and has another bender into the tire barrier wall.
And just speaking of it, right now, Gavin Rogers just put down the fastest lap.
Yeah, and talked about it, even you do not have to pit for tires. Gavin did not take tires. He's on these 35 lap old tires and just put down what could have been the fastest lap of any part of this session from practice, qualifying, warm-up. Gavin Rogers just put down the fastest lap of all sessions here tonight.
Yeah, 1:21.4 is the fastest lap of, like you said, between qualifying, practice, and race now. And we'll see. He put down the fastest lap. Next lap might be faster.
There's a chance if he decides. The big thing that helps Gavin Rogers, he has spacing. There was enough room for a whole lap for him to focus, hit his marks, and run down Zach Hall just a little bit more aggressively that time. But on screen, seeing the battle between the 61 of Bronson Stafford, the 70 machine of Aaron Smith the second. Now this is not for position, as that of Bronson Stafford is 1 lap down compared to Aaron Smith the second. That's trying to get by as well as trying to get by the 4 machine of Justin Forbes, who's been struggling here this evening as he moves out of the way, allowing the 70 as well to blitz his way forward. And for Bronson Stafford, got to be careful. He will be under fire here shortly as Carl Pooler is closing in on that gap.
And now we're going to jump up here to Larry. He's still looking at Campbell. Sorry, the camera decides to shift on me here. Give me a minute. The camera's going nuts, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize for that.
As this is the battle for position. Ken Campbell holding back Larry Yingling. It's going to put the positioning for Christopher Norris. Trying to make the pass. Former teammates of the Full Send Racing Series that we used to cover, of Christopher Norris and Ken Campbell on Freaky Fastest Racing team. And Christopher Norris, with that help from the 15, able to close in the gap just ever so slightly on Larry Yingling, trying to let that vehicle drift out. And for Christopher Norris, still trying to find an opening, but here at turn 8 that we just passed, very narrow corner. If you miss your entry, you could be into that outside wall very quickly. Now ripping their way down straightaway, entering into turn number 9. This is probably one of the second fastest braking zones you got to get into as you are hitting your second fastest speed, besides turn 1, which is the hardest braking zone as you hit your top speed. Then you slow down through turn 11, get through all 5 gears before you try to make the march to go down into turn number 1, as pit stops are made all around the field for our leader of Zach Hall. He also takes it into pit road, as well as Larry Yingling. Christopher Norris still needs to pit as he'll take over second place.
Yeah, we'll see when he's got. I would imagine he's probably going to be looking at this next lap here. He'll be coming in as we go through the turns here. Beautiful, beautiful scenery here at Long Beach. It's such a beautiful track too. Something we don't talk about too much of what iRacing did here. This track is it is beautiful.
It certainly is. I mean, it's one of the tracks that's heavily used in IndyCar and in GT endurance racing. Also comes to this course for a couple of weeks in a row. This track initially thought in and made back in 1975 and is still ran to this day. It's IndyCar again. They still come out to this course. NASCAR yet to run on this course. But I'm going to say, I mean, yes, we've had a couple of scares here and there, but I think WSSR might have proved it. This track is usable, and might be getting myself in trouble with saying this. I think I prefer this race than what I've seen at the Chicago Street course that NASCAR goes to.
Look, I'll get in trouble with you. I have to agree.
There's just been fun racing, drivers being side by side. Pit road calls for the 38 of Christopher Norris, who a couple of other drivers still need to make their pit stop, being Ryan Kelly in 8th place, 9th place to Tom Senchek, as well as Ryan Kelly needs to make a spot with Edward Sherwood Jr. As the field is about to be making their pit stops. There's just a handful left, but Gavin Rogers over a 10-second, make it almost 11-second gap lead over Vincent Sora. And there really hasn't been a question of, is Gavin Rogers not going to win this race? It's more of, is Gavin Rogers going to make a mistake to throw away this race here tonight?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. It's all up to him now not to lose the race. It's got a 10, almost 11-second lead, like you said. It's all up to him now. Just hit your braking points, hit your turns, which he's been doing all night. He's been the fastest vehicle, and getting this win is gonna lock him into the playoffs. So that's good for him there, and he got the stage points. So tonight's just an overall dominance of Gavin Rogers here at Long Beach.
And we looked at the points coming into this race. Gavin Rogers was 17th in points, and I think after this type of performance, you could lock him in as a playoff contender. And it's one of those things where this race is really putting Gavin Rogers in that position where he is just in the go zone. With 6 laps to go, hit your marks, you'll feel comfortable. And if you'd like to go get yourself a championship trophy, go on over to TrophySmack.com to find yourself some great selections from pre-made to custom that you can make personalized for yourself. Head on over to TrophySmack.com, and if you're not looking to get yourself a championship belt, ring, or trophy, they've also have a product called the Wall Smack. It's a metal plate that you also can get their magnet wall safe process to put your wall smack either on your wall, or you can grab a stand and put it on your desk or shelf. Remember, when purchasing at TrophySmack.com, use the promo code WSSR Smack. for purchase. As getting themselves, most likely, might want to get this vehicle framed up with their win here tonight. Gavin Rogers came in as a rookie, and I think for a lot of, at least us up in the booth, I think a few drivers out on track, it was a question of how is Gavin Rogers going to compete with this field? This is a much stronger field. We haven't seen Gavin Rogers really in this type of a situation where
Correct.
the strength of the field is pretty equal to himself. This is perfect, I think, for Gavin, that it only is going to looking like take 4 races to get him into victory lane.
Agreed, Sam. I mean, congratulations to Galvin as long as he can finish this thing out, what he needs to do, which is, 5 laps to go here. But yeah, I agree with you, this is going to be a morale booster for him too. Coming in here and, the strength of field and be able to get a victory only 4 races in the season as being a rookie goes to show you he's here to play. And people's got to take some notes about that.
Absolutely. I mean, Gavin Rogers entering tonight with 1 top 5 finish, 1 top 10, and with counting tonight 3 poles. It was looking like Gavin Rogers was going to be a favorite. And talking about that mental morale, I mean, if he had gotten 3 poles in a row at 3 different style courses and didn't win either of them, I think that probably would have hurt his morale more than anything. But this is going to be a showing for the field. Hey, watch out. We've got a couple of more road courses in the future for this field that they've got to watch out for. I mean, just in 4 weeks, we're heading to the Daytona road course. Then the end of the regular season, we're going to be also seeing for round number 11 of the season, we're heading to Le Mans. I think Gavin Rogers, with this performance here tonight, with overshadowing Vincent Sora as greatly as he's done, I think we found our new road course ringer that could be dominating for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. And I the next road course, I'm excited to see Daytona, of course, and I'm excited to see all the tracks that they go to. But that Le Mans, that's going to be interesting because I haven't seen as we have somebody there into the wall head on, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll have to see. If again, drivers are going to have to take note when we go to road courses, and we're going to see how this all plays out because it's gonna, normally you don't see leagues run more than 1 road course a season. Well, WSSR decided to put 3 of them in, so that's pretty interesting right there itself in the schedule there, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be 4 because that Daytona road course week, we're having a double-header race. We're having a 20-lap official race, and then we're going to have a 10-lap shootout. It's going to be a fun one to watch for the drivers on bonus points. When we head to the Daytona road course, it'll be a little bit of a shorter week of racing, but excited to see how the field's going to be running that race. But with 4 laps to go, let's make it 3. Gavin Rogers' lead up to 13 seconds as he continues to pull away.
He's pulling away, and unfortunately, we'll go back here real quick and look at Vincent Sora here. Running back here, 12 seconds behind, just crossed the start-finish line, and that vehicle's a little bit beat up there for him, unfortunately, but we'll have to see how that all plays out for him.
Yeah, Vincent Sora, again, earlier in the race, after Gavin Rogers made a mistake getting into the tire barrier wall, just 5 laps later, there was a wreck in front of Vincent Sora. He had to slow down for, grab some contact. There's even more contact in that same area where he found himself being involved with Brian P. Johnson, and it looked to be Brian Noel's issues getting into one another, and was never truly able to recover in the pit stop situation. Also hurt in the 51. It just has been, a building up, kind of a snowball falling down the hill factor for Vincent Sora, where one thing just keeps building up the momentum of it just falling apart for how this race could have gone for himself.
Yeah, unfortunately, and that's just, the way it rolls sometimes, right, Sam? But now we'll go back here to Zach Hall with 3 laps to go yet here. It's soon going to be 2 laps to go, and Zach Hall is way out of his 30 seconds behind, but I do believe, Zach Hall is going to be happy with the performance tonight in that number 32 machine, bringing it home third as long as he can keep it clean and do what he needs to do here. I think Zach, will be happy to talk to us in the interview and, just be happy with that finish there, Sam.
Absolutely. I think another driver that could be happy with the way that they performed here tonight is Trenton Jump, a 16th place runner currently. Trent started again, only back in 39th place, made his pit stop, and currently is our highest mover up 23 positions. Is Jump. Another couple of drivers that are just trying to survive. Danny Cochran, you see on screen in 5th place. He's had a couple of woes. His teammates have had the biggest issues, I would say, of a lot of drivers here tonight, but just trying to hit their marks with 2 laps to go. Gavin Rogers, clean track ahead. It is all on him if he's going to throw this race away or not.
Oh, well, we're going to see if he, hopefully he doesn't make any mistakes like we keep repeating ourselves, unfortunately. But we'll see here as he's going to get ready to take the white flag here, Sam, as he's going in turn number 11. Get ready to go down the fastest part of the track, and here we go.
Hitting the front stretch for one of the final times here tonight. One more lap for Gavin Rogers. A little bit under 2 miles in distance is Long Beach, as your freaky fast white flag is in the air for the 75 machine. Trying to grab his win here tonight, be the 3rd different winner of the season. Entered this evening outside of the top 16 in points. It might be leaving Long Beach locked into the playoffs as 16 drivers make it to that window. But here tonight, even with that slight little brush, you're hoping not to make any more hard contacts. He blasts by the wall that he made the major mistake earlier tonight. But Gavin Rogers, just a handful more corners to go into corner number 6, exit 7. And Rogers has been perfect this evening, besides that one blemish of running into the wall, but it's been just perfect here tonight. Traffic's gotten out of the way, and it's been Gavin Rogers found himself getting the pole, fastest during practice, finding himself just pulling away immediately as seeing the field, trying to get to by turn 11. There's a few more corners for Gavin Rogers to get through first, as now he hits into turn number 9, 10, and in exits 11. Gavin Rogers hits the front stretch for the final time, and it's all Gavin Rogers' victory here at Long Beach.
Congratulations, great run from the start to finish here. He's going to finish in front of Vincent Sora. That's going to bring it home right now, and looks like in 2nd position, 13 seconds behind, and then you got Zach Hall, Aaron Smith, the 2nd, having a great run. Danny Cochran, what a good run for him right now, and Christopher Norris as they are finishing out this race here, Sam.
Well, there's still racing going on right now. I mean, for Christopher Norris, that 6th place finish is not an absolute. He's being ran down by Larry Yingling still. A couple of the other drivers just finishing up their laps, but for the 75, Gavin Rogers, he's going to enjoy this one. Dominated the road course. Talked about how the fact that the one way that he could really throw away this race is by mistakes, by running into the wall, getting too much damage. Pit stop strategy could throw away this race, and that call not to take tires helped him to stay in a position to win here tonight, and it helped that Vincent Sora made his mistakes as well to enable this 75 into victory lane. Congratulations to Gavin Rogers, as he's just trying to have some fun before he can get to the front stretch. More drivers still trying to finish up this race overall, but Robert, what a run for Gavin Rogers.
What a run, what a run. What a run for Gavin Rogers, but I want to also say congratulations to the whole field here. You pack in that many cars. We had a little bit of a mess up at the beginning of the race in the back half of the field when we took the green flag. Unfortunately, like Tom Bourne didn't get the race here tonight. Probably got too much damage and things like that. But overall, in general, Sam, I give bravos for the guys showing up and running Long Beach, which is not a normal track. But again, like you said, Gavin Rogers, your tonight's winner, is going to lock himself into the WSSR playoffs and run for a championship here at season 9.
Got to feel good for the 75. We will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 of Gavin Rogers, Vincent Sora, and Zach Hall, and as well a spotlight driver. We'll be back right after this. With one another as side-by-side racing continues on. Christopher Norris has been able to move up 3 spots for himself. Dakota Moniz, another driver in the 5 that's moved up 3 spots. And for Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine, this race is so critical because the driver he's runs, Christopher Norris, and all defense incoming contact into the outside wall. Everyone's got to just get around. Norris locks it down, but the second pack is rolling in, and looks to be almost contact, and it is major one for the second pack. The admins have to throw the yellow, and that will be your first caution of the day.
Oh man, Sam, that was a huge collision. I don't know who caught, hit Norris in that second pack, but it all started up there with Christopher Norris and Ali Fonseca. It looks like coming off of two, making some contact. I don't know if it was Netco actually. So then when we go back and look at this, you're gonna see that as they come off the exit of two here, it's just gonna be a gap between them. Puts Norris up in the wall, and then from off the wall, here comes the 38 down off of it into the 24, who's gonna slam that wall off the right front of his truck, and then Norris is locking it down, sliding across. It looks like that was the 14 Arizari and Tyler Dangler.
Tyler Dangler, who was tied in points for the cutoff line. That major damage is going to be critical for himself. Required damage for Tyler Dangler, and that one incident wreck on lap 17 could be the ends and hopes of Tyler Dangler trying to make the playoffs.
That is so heartbreaking for Tyler, who's had a season of ups and downs and some bright spots. You can see right here for GT.
Is already a car length and a half ahead of Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora.
Great start there for John Forbes, but I think down the back straightaway, he's going to find out real quick how strong this draft is here, as the 2 is going to have a massive head of steam here heading down into 3 and 4. What's he going to do with it? He looks to the inside, but the 11 shuts the door. Now the 15 of Vincent Sora, teammate of Danny Cochran's going to look to the outside of the 2.
Trying to bounce to the outside, not able to do so just yet. Gonna have to settle back in line, utilize the draft. Vincent Sora stays high, gives an opening for Cody Reed for a quick moment. Cody Reed backs out for a better option, but John Forbes stays too high, and now the teammates, they'll stay in line on the inside groove. Cochran gasses up, stays full throttle, and gets a bump draft from his teammate. It's going to be seen. Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran working together on that inside groove as the 2, he'll keep his nose ahead to try to lead a lap here.
Here we go, going to try to lead this lap, and Vincent Sora wants to also get a lap led out there because he knows that John Forbes has done a good job of already doing that himself. He wants to even that battle out here, try to, heal those wounds, such as John Forbes has opened up so far here. But 15 not able to jump up like he wants here. The 2 just not able to get far enough ahead.
Top 5 drivers, new tires. Then there's a little bit of a gap of Cedric Hunter, Joshua Kanata trying to hold back Justin Smith as the blue 6 machine is trying to kind of be a shocker to try to find his way into the playoffs and getting some major. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Cup Series, Season 9, race number 4 at Long Beach, as we get ourselves down to victory lane to talk to our winner here tonight, as it will be the 75 machine of Gavin Rogers. Gavin, congratulations on being the 3rd different winner here tonight. I guess 3rd time's a charm. You get your 3rd pull as well this season. Man, how are you feeling after that dominating performance here tonight?
I'm relieved, to be honest, Sam. That was such a weird race. I really thought I lost it there going into, I don't know what turn it was, but it was the turn before the 2 left-handers before the hairpin. I locked up, almost got into the tire barriers. Luckily, just barely tapped them, backed up, got stuck in neutral. Somehow still kept the lead. I know a couple guys made a few mistakes early, and I was able to take advantage of that for sure and be able to pull away. Just manage my stuff, but gosh, just to finally win in this league is such a huge deal, to be honest. I should have won at least another race from these last 2. I just made terrible mistakes. Apologies to the 71. I don't know what got in my head. Both times I got into him, I just totally lost talent. I know you guys know that that's not how I am. I try not to get in anybody, and if I do make a mistake, I make sure no one else is involved. So yeah, man, just so glad to pull it off.
I mean, Gavin, we've covered you in plenty of other leagues on how fast we know you are at road courses. Were you surprised on how much faster you were compared to the rest of the field here this evening?
Yes and no. I really felt like I had it a couple days before going into it. I think last night I hopped into practice and I saw a couple other guys set down some pretty fast lap times, about I think a 10th off of my fastest lap I've set. And I only had like 7 minutes to try to put a lap down just to try to see what the track was like at that point, to see if it was just like a really grippy track. And I wasn't really able to get a good tell him that. So I was pretty worried coming into the race today for sure. But I just knew I had to focus on the start, not spin my tires going into turn one as well. And then my pit, I know I've made mistakes doing that, and I couldn't do that again. But yeah, just like I said, just such a relief.
Well, I know we still have a couple of more unique tracks ahead of us, as well as 2 more road courses before the season's over. What's the confidence level now, knowing that you finally got that monkey off your back with this win, and we're heading towards Michigan, Daytona, and Daytona Road?
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable for sure, knowing that I'm pretty much locked in the playoffs. This I know there's a couple races I think I might miss. I got a trip in a couple weeks, actually, right out here, pretty close to Long Beach. I'm going to a Disney, which is pretty neat. I might come by, grab some photos, and do a side by side with the iRacing. But yeah, I feel pretty confident coming into the next few races. I know these guys like a really hot track, which is more of an advantage for me because I like a more slicker driving car, and just being able to manage that right rear, I feel like is what I'm best at. I can't drive a car that's tight. I really can't. It takes so much into me to drive a car fast that's tight. But luckily these guys know what's up, and hopefully I can take advantage of that.
Well, Gavin, congratulations once again on this victory. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout out.
Oh, for sure. Want to shout out Sundance Pizza on the car. Finally was able to get this beautiful car into victory lane. Shout out to all the sponsors on the car, ideally, so Butt Kicker, everyone who helps me. I have so many people that are behind me that really help me do what I do, and I really appreciate them. Also want to shout out my teammates, Jared Hughes, and also have a little alliance with Limitless, Richard and Carl. Really appreciate those guys giving me the opportunity to try and get into this league. And also want to shout out the admins as well for letting me race in here. I really appreciate them doing that for me, and also you guys for doing the broadcast.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight at Long Beach. It's going to be the 75 of Gavin Rogers. Congratulations on the win, Gavin, and good luck in these upcoming races.
Appreciate it, Sam.
As we move from victory lane, we go down into second place to a driver that maybe thought his race was going to go a little bit differently here tonight. We have the 51 of Vincent Sora. Vinny, you are always quick at these road courses. Come away second, but how are you feeling after your Long Beach events here tonight?
I feel good. I think I ran a pretty good race, other than a few unforced errors that I'm a little frustrated with myself for making. But I had a lot of fun, and I honestly, that was my biggest takeaway from it. Even though it wasn't the fastest car, I love wheeling a big heavy stock car around a road course, and a street course is even more fun than a purpose-built track. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun. Gavin was really, really fast tonight. I don't think anybody in the field could have touched him, no matter the circumstance. I thought maybe if he made a mistake while I was about 3 seconds behind him there at the very beginning, that I might be able to start reeling him in. But I made that stupid error into turn one, and after that, I just kind of rode around for the rest of the race and kept my car under me. But yeah, it was a fun race. Hopefully, we revisit a track like this in the future.
Yeah, I mean, Vinny, we saw those mistakes kind of pop up. The damage was starting to add up for yourself. How much did you feel like that was maybe influencing this vehicle throughout the rest of this race?
Yeah, I mean, I could feel the difference right after I hit the wall. I kind of tank slapped it down into turn one. After that, certain corners, it was a mess to get through. I feel like actually it kind of helped other corners, which is odd. But yeah, after I got the damage, I knew that I needed to be very cautious because these cars are about as fragile as a shard of glass. So I couldn't wreck the car any more than I already did, and yeah, I just went into pure conservative mode.
Well, coming off of your back-to-back wins and being the leader of the points, it's got to be feeling nice and comfortable after these first 4 races. What is your mindset though for these next couple of races as we're entering the halfway of this regular season, as we're heading to Michigan, Daytona, and Daytona Road Course?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of interesting tracks. I feel like Michigan is going to be a lot like a super speedway, and then we have an actual super speedway, and then we have another road course. So Michigan, I think I could probably take off a win if everything falls my way. Daytona, I feel like I have like the worst luck out of anybody on a restrictor plate. I honestly don't think I've ever won on a restrictor plate in any league. So hopefully I have some good luck there. And And then the road course, I'll probably just have to put in more laps than I did for this one and see how I stack up against the rest of the guys.
Well, Vinny, we can't wait to see how you're going to perform there. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, just everybody in the league. I feel like this was honestly a really good race for a track like this. Everyone was pretty nervous going into it just because we've never done anything like it. And I mean, it's Long Beach, so everybody knows how it goes. So yeah, shout out to everybody there. Shout out to Gavin. He drove a great race. Shout out to all of our sponsors. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting. And shout out to my teammates because Danny drove a heck of a race. I'm super proud of him. He drove that thing up into P5. Tom had a great race, and Brian unfortunately got wrecked pretty early and drove back up to P11. So I think honestly, as a team, this is probably our best result. So hopefully we can just keep building momentum and go get that team championship.
Well, we can't wait to see how yourself and your team are going to perform in these next couple of races. Congratulations on second, Vinny. And again, good luck at Michigan next week.
Thanks, boys.
As we move away from second place, we go down into third with the guy that probably wants to get out of here as soon as possible. We've got Zach Hall with us. Zach, I know you're not feeling well, but third place, are you surprised by this running that you had here tonight?
Not surprised by it. I mean, I definitely a lot of adversity come through tonight. Went to the hospital this morning, found out I had pneumonia. So been working through that. Definitely a little weak when it comes to that. But I think the big thing is I went into turn one there, trying to pass Larry around the outside on the first lap. And that slap I gave to the wall, I don't know if y'all guys caught that, but I hit the wall there and it completely knocked the toe out. It was a minute 45 of damage. So I could not turn in right-handers. Pretty much the rear end was kicked to the left the whole race. And it just made everything that much more difficult. So at that point, once I hit it, I told myself, okay, we're managing and we're going to just try to bring it home in third unless these guys in front of us mess up, because just didn't have the race car at that point to even really push. I mean, I was really scared to push the car because I was like, I know already getting the call from the crew chief, I didn't know how much damage I had at the time before the pit stop, but I figured it was a good bit since the crew chief called over to me and said, you got wheel damage. And so when you hear that, that's immediately like a red flag. And I know how these cars are. If you hit it again, it's just going to snap that toe link. So I completely, from there on out, just was trying to be picture perfect. I hit the wall one more time, but luckily it was on the left side and it was very light. So we kept it out of the barriers for the most point. Just wish I wouldn't have made that mistake, but still third. Very happy with coming here sick and battling through that.
Well, Zach, we're heading now to Michigan, Daytona, and then Daytona Road Course. What's your thoughts and feelings heading into these next three races?
Oh, pretty good actually. Michigan will be a crapshoot. We'll see how that plays. I don't know how the next gen drives are. Again, I haven't had a lot of experience in this car, a lot of these tracks. So getting back in the role with this. So Michigan should be an interesting one. Daytona, of course, the super speedway, that can anybody's game. I think I'm one of the best plate racers out there, especially when it comes to pushing. So I think I could definitely flex my muscle there. And then maybe we can go to Daytona Road Course and fight for a win. I don't know. These guys in the next gen are just so good at running fast laps over and over and over again. And just there's no fall off. So it's like you got to be just straight out the gate fast. And I'm definitely gonna have to work on that. And we'll see how that goes. I think these next few races that line up for me will be pretty strong. Just happy to get my first top five after a good start to the season, but not the finishes I've wanted, of course.
Well, Zach, still an amazing run for yourself. We'll give the floor to you for any shout outs and we'll let you go.
Yeah, first off, shout out to Gavin, man. He was a rocket ship. I wish I wouldn't have broke the right rear to be able to at least put some pressure on him and Vinny, there in that race. But definitely shout out to those two. They were a class above everybody. Shout out to all the lappers that was passing. Had a few scary moments with a few of them, but they did a good job just, getting out of the way in the right spots and not being too in the way. So I got to congratulate everybody on that. And also shout out to all the sponsors here at the league, trophysmack.com. Make sure you head on over there. You can use WSSR Cup and get yourself, WSSR Smack and get yourself 10% off on a wall smack there. So check out that. They got some great stuff in store. And then last but not least, also you guys, can't forget about y'all, but last but not least, my teammates, excellent team I run with, and they kept me in the game right from the beginning when we slapped the wall. They're like, you got this, just keep doing your thing. And we just managed our way through it, and definitely a night that we'll be happy to come with third.
Absolutely. Well, Zach, congratulations on third. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Michigan. I hope you start feeling better.
Thanks, guys.
As we move from third place, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the field as we head down to 16th place to talk to our spotlight driver. Reason why? Biggest mover of the night. Another driver that we know that can be quick at road courses. We have the 46 of Trenton Jump with us. Trenton, you there?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Trenton, it's been a while since we get to talk to you as you're no longer running in the ISRC Truck Series on Mondays. But, man, it's great to see you with the WSSR. How was your day out there on track trying to work through all that traffic?
Yeah, I kind of just purposely screwed up both my qualifying laps just to start back in the pack, and just was hoping there was gonna be a big wreck. And I mean, there was a few, and we drove. I think we were up to like 21st, and then we got ran into by someone who reversed into us off the hairpin, so that really damaged the nose, and I think it hurt the motor and bent the suspension. So it was just struggle bus from here on out. But I think we could have had a top 10 tonight if it wasn't for that. But anyways, yeah, it was fun.
I mean, Trent, coming in as a rookie into this series, what were the expectations so far with the few races that you've ran with this group?
Well, this week and last week just survived. Yeah, I don't run a whole lot of the next gen car. I kind of piddle paddle with it every once in a while, but nothing in a serious competitive environment. So it's the challenge of learning that while trying to keep up with these guys in here, because there's pretty fast guys in here. Had a really good run going at Texas, and then got thrown in the fence and got suspension damage. So that everyone that probably would have been another top 10 day. So I've been doing good so far. So nothing to hang my head about.
Well, we know that you've got speed and are always going to be a driver that we point out to watch out for. We're heading to Michigan, Daytona, and then Daytona Road Course. What's the confidence heading into these next three races?
Pretty high. Just excited to have some normalcy back in the schedule. I was kind of hoping Martinsville would go green at some point, but it never did. And then obviously here the whole race was green, but it was just nonstop cluster F, every lap almost. So yeah, just looking forward to having some normalcy back in the schedule for probably the next month or so, and hopefully gain some points back that we've lost over the last few weeks.
Well, Trent, we can't wait to see how you're going to perform these next couple of weeks. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout out.
Yeah, just want to thank the team, Armadillo Motorsports. I'm the only one in here racing out of the team, and just want to thank Justin at Justin Teal Designs for painting this beautiful car.
Well, that will be the 46 machine of Trenton Jump, your biggest mover of tonight. Congratulations on that award, Trenton, and good luck on the next couple of races.
Sounds good. Good seeing you, boys.
As we move away from our interviews, wild night for some. For others, they cannot wait to get out of here as soon as possible with the driver that's probably has the most elation. It's got to be the 75 of Gavin Rogers coming away with the victory here tonight. Again, fastest during practice, fastest at qualifying, grabbing the pole, and never looked back after taking the lead position at the start of the race. Gavin Rogers is going to be enjoying this victory as we take a look at our unofficial results. The 75 finds himself with a win and will lock himself in the playoffs with this victory if he can stay inside the top 25 in points. Vincent Sora, two-time winner, trying to go for 3 in a row here tonight, will fall shy in second place. Sackall fourth. And then here we go, some of the drivers that maybe kind of shocked us in the way that they were able to recover. You've got Aaron Smith, the second and fourth, Danny Cochran fifth. Sixth is Christopher Norris after all of his woes of running into people at times. Then in seventh, we've got Larry Yangling. Eighth, we find the 3 of Ryan Kelly, Edward Sherwood Jr., and Tom Sinchek. The closest finish at the end of the race, it was 0.07 of a second between those drivers as they were side by side coming across the line for 9th and 10th. And look at the rest of the field. I mean, Brian P. Johnson, you got to give kudos to the 28, a huge recovery run in 11th. And then also Jared Hughes, great run for himself. Trenton Jump, your biggest mover, in 16th, 23 positions up from where he started. And we'll let the rest of the grid kind of follow through at the results, but certainly a wild night, 44 laps, and now we move away from the chaotic first 4 races of this race. We knew these first 4 races were going to be wild. Going to Atlanta Super Speedway to start the season off, then Legacy, Texas, where it was extremely loose and out of control. Martinsville last week, we had the historic caution-filled race, and here tonight, a track that NASCAR doesn't run in real life. Starting next week, we get to the traditional kind of what we're used to racing action for these next-gen vehicles. And I got to say, Robert, it's going to be fun to finally see a little bit more traditional racing with the WSSR starting next week.
Yeah, I think they're like you heard it from Trenton Jump there. I think a lot of these drivers are like, okay, we made it through the first 4 weeks. We've seen it on the schedule. It was a big talk in the whole league for, a whole month. And now we're getting back to a little bit of, what we normally see and what normally people drive. So we'll see two tails of the season now here. And I think coming up to the next couple of races, I think things are going to calm down a little bit here for the drivers.
We certainly are hoping so. As talking about calming down, let's take a look at our upcoming schedule, because it really doesn't calm down from here. As the ISRC Truck Series, as we just finished up on Mondays, we are still in the round of 8. Next Monday, we find ourselves seeing who's moving on and racing the Final Four with John Forbes, who just grabbed his win this past Monday. Tuesdays, we're still looking. If you would like to get your Tuesday nights booked, please message us on Facebook or on X, and we will love to respond back to you to see if we can cover your Tuesday series or special event. And then we just got concluded with tonight here with WSSR. Next week, we head to Michigan for 100 laps. And this upcoming Thursday, it's the penultimate race of the season. You don't want to miss it. Heading to North Wilkesboro short track racing action for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It's next gen's open setups. You don't want to miss it, as 3 drivers are still in the hunt for a championship. And this upcoming week's been a fun one. Next week, I think it's going to be even more of a blast. Get to see the conclusion of the round of 8 for ISRC, as well as the conclusion of the season for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. I got to say, Robert, a lot of great racing people don't want to miss out on, that's for sure.
Most definitely. If you watch iRacing and you watch different broadcasting, companies and things like that, make sure you tune into our nights too, because we have some great action coming up here, like you said, Sam. And, the Doghouse Racing League is about ready to end their season to go into their summer break. So we'll see what happens with that by the end of the season. But we also got, like you said, Monday night is coming down to the ending here too. So it's going to be very interesting.
A lot of great racing you don't want to miss. But for tonight, we congratulate Gavin Rogers on the victory. And also we say thank you to the viewers that watched tonight's race. We want to say thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, usually with me is Justin Malarkey, but doing double duty this evening was Robert Moyer Jr. with commentating and running production for every Freaky Fast broadcast you watch. And we want to say thank you for joining with us. Congratulations to the 75 machine. And we cannot wait to see more great racing action next week. We get back to traditional Michigan, our next destination for the WSSR. And if you can't wait until then, we'll see you on Monday for ISRC, or tomorrow night for the penultimate race, second to last race of the season. It's the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Who's going to be in the best position for a championship? You don't want to miss it as they head to North Wilkesboro tomorrow night for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.